Hello and welcome to the Method PvP Breakdown. I'm your very experienced host, Bean, and I'm joined today with Chaz and Zuni from Method EU. We got this next clip coming up that basically the Paladin overlaps Trinket and Bubble with his Shaman, and later on in the game, it actually pretty much cost him the game. This was a big mistake, obviously, and when they did Trinket, did you basically already know that you were going to win off this? What was going to be the perfect setup to get the kill after this?
I think what happened in this particular case, as you can see, first of all, there's a lot of dampening. We're up to 40% dampening, and
Right.
our strategy as Shadow is I mean, of course, like the Red Paladin is our best target, but in a sense, you can see how he's playing. So right now, we can't really hit the Reds, right? He's kind of in the middle of the map. He's behind the pillar. He's just spam healing. He's playing like a Holy Pally. So we couldn't really hit him until he's back. So that's probably why we were hitting the war in between. But our goal when there's a high amount of dampening like this is to really just spam damage. And, you know, as soon as we see an opportunity to get like some cross EC, get a stun going, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, right here is where he uses the
we saw.
trinket on that fear to try to save his warrior. And in a couple seconds, you get a full poly here and a perfect cross EC Hodge, and he just goes down through the prot legendary. So I just thought this was a really nice clip. It was really well set up, and I mean, unfortunate for them for overlapping, but definitely taking advantage of that was a really nice play.
Yeah, basically what you want to do in like Shatter into most melee cleaves is you want to like drag the fight away from the pillar. You want to have the melee cleave try and, you know, move out from the pillar to try to finish the game. But that's usually where the spell cleave shines.
The wizards, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, it's really high dampening. We're kind of just forcing them to do mistakes at this point.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
I would definitely say just to add up on that real quick. Definitely think Shatter is definitely favored in this matchup. So it's kind of up to them, as Chas said, to do the mistakes and overlap. Like it will happen. There's so much dampening that even like if the Shaman, as you said, he trinketed earlier and the Red still had the bubble. It's the things that happen and people don't really see the dampening because you're so into the games. You don't even look up and see like, okay, this game's been actually going on for more than 10 minutes. You know, it feels like it's been 5, but it's actually been 10. And certainly like you're dying a bit randomly. That's because the dampening is so high and the Red can't heal himself as much. So things like that will happen, especially on long games, especially in tournaments. As you said, we were able to capitalize on that, but it's definitely something that can happen in tournaments.
All right, so in this next clip here, it's you against Kawana Gaming again. I just want to know in this next clip, how important is drinking, and do you guys set up drinks more often? Do you plan a lot further ahead to set up these drinks, or are these more like in the moment?
We kind of go with the flow a little bit. You want to get the drinks because if you start like with the drinking on like 50% mana early in the game, it might be that the melee cleave really tries to overextend to keep that mana from staying there, like staying low, and then try like that way ooming the paladin or whatever healer.
Yeah, right here, I love this MC. This stun MC is beautiful, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. Sorry, go on.
Even if I didn't get the drink, we would be forcing them into bad positions, which would open up kill windows or at least setups to force cooldowns.
Okay.
So it's a lot about just dragging them out of their comfort zone and try to just stay on high mana, because once it hits a certain amount of dampening, you can no longer drink because the damage is too much and you just have to stay in and heal all the time.
Okay, so it's kind of like basically almost baiting them into a bad position, and even if you don't need it, it's good to just kind of give the anxiety of them wanting to stop the drink. Okay, I actually have a follow-up with this on our next video. Basically, it's another one where you're going for a drink, Chaz, and the warrior actually leaps in. And first of all, Thezia gets a beautiful Nova before he leaps in here. You'll see it in a minute. He gets a beautiful Nova, forces the warrior to Blade Storm, and so then he doesn't have Blade Storm when he leaps in. I guess he didn't have Reflect, or maybe he misplayed, but basically he gets hodged on the leap in to stop the drink and gets really punished, has to use his trinket and parry here. So is this kind of the bait you're talking about? You want to basically bait them out?
Yeah, that's one of the baits where I basically went to drink there. So there's two scenarios. I will get mana and basically be able to go even deeper into dampening. The other situation is the warrior will leap and stop me from drinking out. It warned Thezia at this point that if he leaps, I will stun him. So you can maybe force his trinket, which he did. That kind of makes the warrior doesn't really want to do it again, right? At least until his trinket is back. So I can drink now without really being too scared of being stopped.
You guys love this map, huh? As Shatter?
I mean, most melee cleave, it's definitely that's what every double caster composition or team usually pick against. As soon as fight a melee cleaves, the pillars are just so far from each other, so it's much harder for them to just run at the pillar and just reset or heal themselves. And just to stay up on that, we're kind of just making the best out of out of the situation. There's not too much we can do. It's good by him. He's stopping the drink. He has to. He knows that his only real win condition is to have us out of mana. So he goes for the lead.
So they have to do that basically. So it's basically like a checkmate.
Yeah, they actually have to do it. They have to do that because if they don't, then Pally can kind of just keep us up forever.
So this next video we have is I kind of wanted you guys to go through the thought process of your CC. You see here he gets actually DB'd, so he's on Fear DR. And I see later on in this clip, about 20 seconds from now, you actually wait for the Fear DR to get the Fear Silence. But yeah, if you guys just want to go through the CC here, I know he dispels, and then he eats that full Nova into a ring, which is beautiful by Thesia.
Yeah, so here's the polymorph is on the red. The Shaman decides to dispel it. But basically he dispelled the sheep on the Paladin. And what we like to do is when the healer dispels, I like to just land my stun on the target. So even though the healer might not be CC'd at the very time that I do stun him, he can dispel him anyway because it's on cooldown. So at this point, it's a good bonus to land a Ring of Frost there for sure. But there was no way out for the Paladin unless he trinketed or bubbled anyway. So it's possible that we would have forced bubble anyway. Would that go?
In this one, this is a little bit of a longer clip, but basically I wanted you guys to kind of explain how like turns work in PvP. So, how when you go, it's your go and they have to play defensive, and then it's they go and it's your turn to play defensive. Like, how does that work in PvP? And also, what's your role as a Shadow Priest? Like, what's the best times to get MDs? I see you mind flaying too for the slows. Like, in general, what's the basis of the goes? How do the goes work?
I would say you go offensively when you have burst cooldowns. So let's say in an example myself, like Shadow Priest, when I have Void Eruption, when I have Power Fusion, when my mage has Combustion, that's when I know that I wanna see the healer and try to kill them. That's, I would say, a good indication. That's like the main general rule for any class in the game. Like when you have burst, you want to obviously like try and see the healer and try to kill them. Time your burst on whichever target you're hitting. When you're defensive is when you don't have burst ready. When you don't, let's say I don't have silence ready. I don't have Void Eruption. I don't have disarm. Like for example, right now, as you can see, I have nothing. I just literally used all my CC, used all my burst, so I have nothing. So I'm kind of just like trying to peel. Here I grip, boom. I just trying to get maybe some heals. I try some. I just try and like peel here, another mind control. We're just trying to peel off and stop their go until we are ready to go again. I hope that's
okay.
Answers.
Do you think would that be for most comps that people play, not even just Shadow Priest or Shatter? Would that be a good tip for newer players? Is kind of trying to realize when it's your turn and when it's the other person's turn?
Yeah, for sure. I would say it depends on the comps you play. Of course, a hybrid like Shadow Priest can of course peel way more than let's say a DK. You play Feral. A Feral can of course peel way more than maybe like a Windwalker or something. So there's obviously some classes that can peel more. But I would say the general consensus stays the same. As soon as you've done your go and you bursted, and you don't really have any offensive CDs for a long time, yeah, you just try and peel off really. And I mean, you still keep the damage going, right? You still need to do a lot of damage, but it's still, I think, important to try and like balance a bit of both, offensively, defensively, offensively, defensively.
I think in a matchup like this, I just try my best to land a stun where I see he does not have the spell, for example, or if my teammate calls that he has something with the healer. Mostly it's just about dragging the warrior and keeping him in defensive stance in this matchup.
Yeah, so I like that a lot. I feel like a lot of people don't actually look at dispels as often as they probably should. Is like how you said, is you basically wait for a dispel and then you get a full hodge because you literally can't dispel it. So that's really smart. I like that. All right, and our next clip here. Okay, this is kind of a funny one, and I guess I kind of want you to. This is mainly on you, Chaz. Here we go. Okay, this is the right video. So basically, the Pally bubbles a polymorph here and is running at you to get a hodge. And I know this may be obvious to a bunch of people, but why do you play this ring around with Rosie, basically? And what's the benefit to it?
Their only way of really killing us at this point is landing a CC chain on me. And their Paladin is he doesn't really want to spend that much time trying to land CC on me, so I just try to annoy him a little bit by making him not sure if I'm gonna let him do it or not. So he'd rather go back to healing and try to live, but at this point it's just like he's not healing at all, and I'm just wasting his time, and the warrior ends up dying, but he's out of mana anyway, so
yeah,
I'm just trying to waste his time as much as possible.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. How do you deal with a warrior nowadays?
I try to do a lot of counter pressure. So my best defense is almost my offense into a warrior. I just try, personally as a Shadow Priest, I just try and drag him away from his healer. That's what I'm doing right now. You see, I'm forcing their healer to kind of move in the open. That way I can open up some CC. I mean, my mage can CC him and I can do some damage. And as I said, I try to, definitely juking is important if you can. But I just trying to do the most damage possible to him. I really try to counter pressure. On this map, it was the map we lost on. So it was a bit hard because there's so many pillars, and so it's kind of hard to drag them in an open spot. But if it was like a bigger map, I would just literally just drag the warrior constantly away, spam as much damage as I can, and try to counter pressure like that.
So Chaz, in this matchup, I actually saw you using you used Aura Mastery. Do you constantly change to Devo and Consecration Aura, or whatever Concentration Aura, or do you usually just stick with one the whole game?
If for example, if I know for sure that's gonna be set up by the opponent team, that's gonna be very dangerous, that potentially lead to a kill, then I could swap to the Devotion Aura and do the Aura Mastery. But usually I'm using Consecration Aura. To try to help assist my teammates with landing important casts, example like a sheep on a healer, or a mind game, for example.
Okay. Zuni, on a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying is a warrior with double reflect and intervene reflect, and is that what warriors should be kind of playing against you versus mind games, and should they only really use it versus mind games, or what's like the best usage for a warrior to really shut down a Shadow Priest?
I think warriors usually play that famous legendary that it's called, I think, Mishap and Mirror. It's every time they press reflect, it also reflects their partner. They can also play Overwatch, which will also, every time they intervene, will also put a reflect on the target they intervene. So that makes it really, really hard for Shadow Priest to get pressure, to get dots out, to get mind games off. And it's definitely a good idea that warriors play it. It's really, I would say, what makes warriors so strong in the first place compared to most melees, as they can assist their teammates so much. I feel like Overwatch is like kind of a cool talent in a way. There's so much you can do. You can intervene your partner, you can intervene your healer to prevent the sheep. There's just so much stuff you can do with it. And yeah, most warriors usually, when they fight spell cleaves or mages, they will play it a lot of times. And I think it's a good idea because they understand that their lose condition is, whenever the priest gets a mind games or when they get CC'd a lot. So yeah, definitely a good thing for a warrior to play either Overwatch or that legendary reflect.
It's cool talking to you guys. I haven't talked to you guys for a couple of years, so this was cool. And sure. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed the insight you guys gave. Thank you everyone for watching.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Yeah, guys.